Okay, in this movie we're going to create this B, and it's set up again like the letter T was. The idea is to be able to use the negative space to create the letter form. So we've got this kind of Gestalt closure thing going on. So if I take this and delete it, you can see this idea of closure, and you may see the letter B still there, but if we do a Command Y, you can see that the shape is just these shapes on the outside. So let's take a look and see how this was done. So now we're going to use the letter B for the 3D effect, and I closed the last movie, so all my settings are still here. I'm still working with Futura Bold, so I'll leave that alone. And I'm going to center this. Now, fun little trick to centering is if I try to center this as is, sometimes it causes problems. See how the B's a little off, and it doesn't quite line up quite right. So, but when you break it apart, so I'm going to go ahead and make an outline out of this. So I'm going to do a Shift Command O, and now I can go back and center this, and it's going to center slightly different. So it's now referencing the larger shape. Okay, so like last time, I'm going to start off by rotating this a negative 40 degrees, 45 degrees, and it should still be in the memory. And so it is, so we'll just go ahead and hit OK. And I want to make a duplicate of the letter the same way I did last time. So I'm going to click on here. I'm going to double click. And again, this is going to be, I'm going to use 50 units. So that's going to be 0 there. It's going to be 50 here. And that should get it me where I want to be. So if I do a preview, oh, I'm going the wrong way. I want to do negative. Let's see. There we go. And I want to copy. Okay, so there's my copy. So here's the problem. Let me do a Command Y. Here's the problem with that 3D effect. This kind of forms like a little valley. And so from the outer shape in here to this shape in here, I want to do a straight line from this top to this top. That's what I want. And so here's the trick. I'm going to start off by selecting a big rectangle, and I'll grab my direct selection tool, and I'm going to hold the Option key down so I can move the whole thing at once. And I'm going to move this over here. I want to line this up in here really close like that. That's what I want to go for. And so I'm going to zoom in here, and I'm going to turn on my Align to Pixel Grid just to show you that this can get in the way. And so I'll zoom in a little bit closer. And now I'm going to grab this. And what I want to do is I want to line it up. It's a little hard to see, but there's a step as this thing bulges out. So as this bowl in here is kind of, from my side of the side, it's convex. So in here you can see there's a straight line in here, then it takes a step down. And here that straight line takes a step down this way. So this line in here is the one that I want. So I want to grab this, and I want to drag it so it sits right on top of that line. But because the pixel lock is on, I can't get there. And so what you want to do is you want to make sure that this thing is turned off. And now I can come back over here, click on that, and I can get it to line up right on top of it, just like that. Now, once you get it perfect, so they both become one line, if you want to play it safe, you can move it over just ever so slightly, one small little step like that. You won't be able to see that in the image when you zoom out. But now I've got, let me zoom out so we can see what's going on. Now I've got that edge right in here, and what I really want is I want this piece over here and this piece over here to become one. And so I'm going to use the Shape Builder tool. It's this one over here. And the shortcut key is the Shift key and the letter M. I'll just click on it while I'm at it. And then once you've selected the tool, the effect that you want on the shape builder tool has to be selected. So I'm going to go ahead and do a select all, Command A, and I'm going to roll over here, and you're going to see that highlight just like that. That's what I want. Now, before I do that, I'm going to back away, and I'm going to make my spare B. So let me come back over here and select my top B. And I'll hold the Option key down, and I'll make my copy over here. That way I can use this for a top if I want it. Same way I did with the letter T. Okay, so now I'll go ahead and select these, and I'll go ahead and do a Shift M to select my shape builder tool. And now, as long as I can roll over and isolate just that one little triangle, I know I did it right. And so there, you can just see it right there light up. That's what I want. If this thing was a little off, and let me go ahead and force it. So I'm going to force this a couple of clicks. Whoops. Well, that's not going to do it. I'm just going to eyeball it. Just move it over ever so slightly. Try to make it look like it's lined up. If I was further back away, I might not be able to tell. I mean, I can still tell that they're not connected, but this is how you know when it's not connected correctly. I'll go ahead and do a select all, and I'll go ahead and grab my shape builder. And when I roll over here, see how the whole thing lights up? That lets me know that this is not enclosed. And so it's kind of leaking out in there. And I can see that if I select either of that side, so let me do a couple of undos. And then I'll roll over it. Do a select all. Now I'll roll over it. Oh, get the right, yeah. So it's not showing up, but I'm probably just a little too far. There we go. That's what I want. I only want this guy to light up when I roll over it. And what that does with this shape builder tool, it allows me to unify this shape with that shape. And so now they're one. Let me back away. Okay, so now in here you can see that that's going to be the 3D shadow of this. This one over here still needs to be built. I got a valley in there as well. But I'm done with this rectangle, and I'll go ahead and delete that. By the way, I'm going to go ahead and color this another color so we can see it. This in here has a hole in it where this original shape was. So if I move this shape out of the way, you can see that there's the hole that was part of it. And so if I do a command Y, if I select this, it looks like I'm selecting the section that I want, but I'm not. This is kind of a negative space of this outer shape, so I can delete that. So I'll just go ahead and delete that out of the way. So that one shape is still there, obviously. We can still see it. Okay, so now I need another rectangle over here to go after this little valley over here. So I'll go ahead and create a rectangle here, and I'll zoom in. And here's my flat spot. So it goes out and then goes here, and there's the flat spot. And I've got one over here as well. Hopefully they're lined up. Sometimes they don't line up exactly, but so I'll go ahead and hold the Option key down and select that. It's the front end of that box. And I'll go ahead and drag this over, and I'm going to get it so it looks perfect. And then I'm just going to overshoot it just by one little click, just like that. So that pretty much guarantees that they're on top of each other. So if I back away here, and I want this big section to be one big piece together. So now again, I'll grab my shape builder, and I want to roll over here. Oh, got to do a select all. I want to roll over that triangle and make sure that it lights up. And once it lights up, I can click and drag straight down, and that unifies that shape. So I've got the 3D part of the letter B down here on the bottom. I can go ahead and get rid of this rectangle. So here's my B. Let me do a select all. So here's the what part of the 3D. Here's the other part of the 3D. And I don't need the letter B here anymore. And so if I hold the Option key down, this will delete the B altogether. But before I do that, I do want this section in here because I want this and I want this inside. So I'm going to just click once. That saves that as its own shape. Do the same thing to this one. That saves that as its own shape. And I'm good. Now, I need to move this corner up so that it lines up with that B up there on top. And I think that's the only one I have that I need to worry about. So either I can move the original B back into its place, or I can go fishing for it. Let's see if I can get it. There it is, I got it. And I'll just drag that in there, and as long as my point to snap is there, it's going to look fine. And so now I can get rid of all these other points. And you can do it either by using this shape tool in here, rather the shape build tool. And let me do a select all. And if you hold the Option key down, you end up subtracting pieces. And so I don't want that. I don't want that. That goes away. This little piece goes away. And there's my letter B. So if I do a Command Y, you can see the B in there. And now I'll change the color to this. Actually, I'll just make it red. And so then I can grab this point and drag it to that corner point if you want it to be on a top like that. And you can give it the effect. So it looks like all of these ended up, they're not all of them, but it looks like I gave them different colors. So I'm going to just hold the Shift key down. And I'll do this one too. And I'll just go and make them all black. And so that's the effect for the letter B. And without the cap, we get that 3D effect. And this actually goes by fairly fast. Once you've done a couple of them, you get the hang of it. So good luck with it. I hope you find it interesting and something that you can put into your bag of tricks for coming up with either some type of editorial 2-page spread if you need some typography manipulations, and or in some cases this could be useful if you're trying to build some type of an identity. All right, take care. Stay safe.